Well, I know a bit about commercial law. That is true if the creditor agrees.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have a cosigner and you have two debtors.
Okay, but the creditor did agree, because the creditor was the, if you look at the Treaty of Peace, 1783, George III identified himself as the King of England, the King of France, and the Prince of the United States. Okay. Yeah, so look up 1783 Treaty of Peace. He was the Crown Prince of the United States. Why? I'm going to tell you, okay? Because who is that debt to? That debt is established by the relationship of something called the Crown and the commercial extension of the Crown, which is the British East Indies Company. Okay, why do we know that? Because for one, the flag of the United States is one and the same as the flag of the British East Indies Company. Okay. Do a Google search on the flag of the British East Indies Company, and you will see it's a blue field in the upper left and 13 stripes that are red and white.
Ken, if we go back to the Treaty of 1213, doesn't that tie the Crown to the Vatican?
Of course.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'll get to that too. So what that wasn't a treaty. Anybody here not familiar with the year 1213 and its significance in this story? Okay. In 1213, King John basically gave all rights, title, and interest to his crown, land, and hereditaments forever to the Vatican. It was his payoff for what he considered his too deep to get out of levels of sin, and he wanted to pay it off to the Pope. And the Pope said, "You just give me all that." You know, now this goes back in history. We're not going to get into it.
I believe it was
before that I do a 1 and or 2 day complete sweep of history. This goes back thousands of years, but the bottom line is that going all the way back to Egypt, and when certain things happened from Egypt, there were two teams that were sent, east and west. One went to the British Isles, one went to what we call Palestine, Jerusalem, etc. It's another story, not for today. But
it was for his permanent salvation.
Pardon?
It was for his permanent salvation.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the price he paid, and the Vatican gladly accepted it.
Which king was that?
John.
John.
Okay.
How can you do future generations though?
Because you ever hear, well, it's just, that's how succession is established. Okay.
So we have nothing to give away when you sign the Magna Carta. It was all gone already.
Right, yeah. Well, there is something that was issued right after by the Pope, who was Innocent III, which negated the Magna Carta, saying, "I have not given my servant," or whatever he called him, vassal, the authority to do that. Now, theoretically, that was overwritten. I forget the name of it. Bill Thornton talks about it as something around the 1290s, where the then Pope said basically, no, we do accept it. Okay. But it also gets into something which is established by the continuum of acceptance of something. There's a reason why, for example, we've all heard the term a 99-year lease. Why is it always 99 years? Because if somebody holds and occupies something for 100 years, they can have permanent ownership and claim to that. So it could be argued both ways. We have been operating on the basis of common law based on originally the Magna Carta for 700, 800 years. Therefore, we, the people, the people of all the republics, not just we, the people of the United States, can establish that, no, this is our law. Okay, show us proof that it isn't. But let's not get into that. Let me finish where I want to go with this. So the United States was the constituent. It took on the debt. It was a bona fide contract between two contracting parties, the United States of America and the United States. From that point forward, and again, like in that 100-year rule, we've been operating on the Constitution that's been accepted internationally for 220 years. So we can't, as much as it has flaws, get rid of it. Let's go back to where's the nexus? It does start with 1213. The crown was given to the Vatican. The crown then established a relationship with what's known as the City of London to maintain the agency of representing its interests, commercially, politically, and otherwise. What's known as the Office of the Exchequer is the treasurer operating within the City of London for the benefit of its principal, the Vatican, who owns and holds that crown. Period. End of story. All bar attorneys are under the auspices of the Exchequer. Okay. Anybody not familiar with that term, the Office of the Exchequer? It's the treasurer of the crown. Okay. So all bar attorneys are performing the requirements of maintaining the commercial interests and financial interests of the agent, meaning the Exchequer, for and through the Crown and the City of London for the principal, the Vatican.
The crown is not England, correct? The crown is
the Vatican.
Financial.
Yeah, the Crown is the Crown. The Crown is controlled by its owner through its agent, the City of London. Yes.
The question I wanted to ask you, Ken, I'm fascinated by what you're talking about. This is excellent stuff. I just want to thank you so much. What I wanted to ask you is, my understanding was that when the Revolutionary War broke out, that Benjamin Franklin went to Spain, he went to France, and he went to the Netherlands and borrowed the equivalent of $2 million or thereabouts. And that when the Revolutionary War concluded, those countries wanted their money back, and we didn't have it.
Right.
And that King George essentially paid off the Netherlands, France, and Spain, and we immediately became a debtor to Great Britain, and that in the Treaty of John Jay of 1796, Congress tried to secretly reimburse King George for the $2 million that he had paid back to France, Spain, and the Netherlands. Am I on the right track there?
Yeah. Now, here's the key that very people have put the dots together. Okay. So here we have the United States. See what was required there. Of course, we all know that, you know, everything or most things done in all of these historical processes were two-edged swords. You know, they did establish certain significant things that we still can base what we're doing on, but they had hidden hooks.